Hey, scrappy people. Tracy Reed here today, coming at you with a layout in my Life Crafted album. Today, I am telling the very long story of how I bought tickets for my husband's bucket list concert, which is the public service announcement tour, which is Rage Against the Machine and Run the Jewels, which just happened to be his two favorites, and they are touring together, and he's so excited. But this concert was supposed to be in 2020, and it was rescheduled to 2022, and that's when I bought tickets for it. It was a big old thing. I bought incredible tickets, second row, and surprised him for his birthday with them. So this is the story of that. I'm going to be using the Kristen Cronenbaro, what's this one called? Turn It Up collection, which is a really fun digital kit available at Sweet Shop Designs. I will leave a link in the description box below. I'm going to be using that. I created this background cut file and have already cut it out of the paper. This is going to be cut in half, obviously, and then I'm going to be layering this behind it. I have this layout sort of pre-planned already, so if it looks like it comes together quickly, that's why. But I'm going to be doing some fun things that I think you're going to like. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing I need to do is I'm just going to adhere the backgrounds together, and then I'm going to put down my photo just for placement, because what I've decided I want to do is I'm going to use some Silver Nuvo texture paste, and I'm going to make some stars on this layout with the texture paste just to give it a little bit of pop and oomph. Of course, I'm a huge dork, and I pressed record when I started doing my texture paste, and I did not press record. I actually pressed record once I was done, when I thought I was turning off my camera. So I recorded a lovely video of me cleaning up all of the texture paste instead of me using the texture paste, which is just so annoying, but you get the point. I used one of my stencils from the Candy Coated Christmas collection with the Nuvo texture paste to make the stars, and it comes out really cool. So you can see that I took the vellum and put it down with an X down there in that bottom corner, because I know I'm going to be covering that corner up, so I use that as the spot for the adhesive, and then I will just use a tiny attacher to staple down the other corners when I'm all done, so that it all stays down and nothing like flips up in the layout, or in the album. But the thing about vellum is that you can always see the adhesive, and so I just like to make sure that if I use adhesive, I put it in a place where you can't see it. So I did the same thing, or I will do the same thing with the adhesive behind this vellum piece, and I will stick it down behind the photo. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to put the photo with this layered vellum down here, and then I'm going to take it over to my Tim Holtz glass mat, and voila, magic, it's already done. I'm cleaning up my mess, but you can see I did sort of a grungy feel, so that, because we're going to a Rage Against the Machine concert, it's like a grungy concert, right? So the grungy stars look great. I'm going to let this dry, but I don't let it dry enough, and I do smear one star, but that's okay, we're gonna fix it. So let's start putting this together. It's not dry enough, so I'm gonna start with the left hand side, and I'm going to start pulling in the embellishments that I've cut out from the digital collection. I decided to rough up the edges of this sort of torn paper just to give it a little bit more of an authentic feel, because it was digitally torn paper, so I want to make it look like it was more physically torn paper, so it looks like it's being torn out of the background, which is super cool. I'm going to cover up that band part, so it's just going to say live. I'm going to do that with this cassette tape, which I added the name of the tour to. I didn't realize that it cut out the center of these little like holes in the tape deck, or in the tape. So I pulled it out. I thought it was kind of cool looking. I should have left it in though, because then it would have covered up the band in the background, but I wasn't paying much attention when I was doing it, and it was too late once I put it down. I'm going to use the guitar here, because of course I am. I'm just making a fun cluster on the page. Around the bottom there is the map that I pre-printed. It shows where our seats are, so I pre-printed that on the vellum with my journaling. handy dandy digital tips and tricks. All right, so the left-hand side is done. Let's start working carefully, but not carefully enough, on the right-hand side. I have this Vellum keyboard tape. I put the adhesive behind the black because I knew it would mostly cover up the adhesive. I have these little fan folds that have music notes on them, and I'm going to use them just sort of to anchor the photo cluster on either side. And this is where I mess up that star up there. Stuck my knuckle in it. Ugh. But I'm going to cover it up with something else in a little bit. Okay, now we're going to be really, really careful. So I'm going a little bit slower, making a little bit more of a conscious effort to not stick my fingers in the stars because I'm way too impatient to just wait, and I don't want to use the heat gun on my layout because I don't know how it will react with the ink from the printed papers. This Nuvo glue has come in so handy. I don't know how I lived without it for so long. I'm gonna run out of it real quick, but yay. I love this big music note. I love that there's no orange on this layout except for in this frame. It really draws your eyes to the photo, which is good because the photo is blue, like the background is blue. So if there was nothing over here to draw your eye, and see how that orange frames it on top and bottom, if there was nothing in there to draw your eye, it would easily get lost in that blue background. I'm going to put the title down, and it's going to be Bucket List Concert, working my way around these stars, but I am going to take concert right over the top of that star, so I'm going to be real careful so I don't like smush it out the sides. So I'm looking at this, I'm loving the way it's coming together. I'm going to stick this "We Got Tickets" and "Front Row" at the top. This was not on the original digital layout, but I had them pulled aside in case I wanted to use them. So I'm going to put it up here at the top. And then I decide that it needs just a little something else to make it pop. I thought maybe I could fluff up those edges and it would work, but I decided that it needed something a little bit more than texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the stars that I have left over from a Colorcast Designs release, and I'm looking at the colors, and I think that the best color to go on here is going to be this beautiful teal because it really brightens up and adds a great pop of color to this page. So I'm going to add all of the stars. I'm just going to go buck wild, add them all, and really just scatter them around the page. I'm going to use this one to cover up that messed up star. First though, I'm going to start sticking these other ones down because I needed to think about whether or not I wanted to do that first. So while I think, I'm just going to start sticking the ones down that I know I want on here. So we're framing this cluster, and then we're going to frame the title as well. I always like to have things that like frame mostly in a triangle, sometimes not. I only use two on the left hand side, but sometimes mostly in a visual triangle. I like to frame portions of my layout. I only have two of those blue ones left, so instead of framing anything, I'm just going to use them over the top of this messed up star. And then I'm going to do the same thing over on the other side, and I'm going to call it good. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Tracy M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. There is a link to this collection in the description box below, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.